250 years of history. This summer, the United States of America brings in a momentous celebration marking 2.5 centuries since the Continental Congress approved the Declaration of Independence in a hot Independence Hall in Philadelphia. And since that time, America rose to prominence as the gold standard of democracy, a land full of rich history. But it's also been a nation with a complicated past. But through it all, the good, the bad, and everything in between, it's been the people, their stories, their fights, their pains, and their successes that makes the United States the nation that it became and what it is today.
This is America 250, Celebrating the People, presented by Weber Automotive Group.
And good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for America 250, Celebrating the People. I'm Maurice Drummond. Tonight, we're going to put a spotlight on the rich blend of people all across our community who bring unique stories and perspectives to this special celebration. We start in O'Fallon, Illinois, as we introduce you to a man who has spent his life giving back to the country and the people around him, and now he's getting honored as he celebrates a very impressive birthday. Here's First Alert 4's Steve Harris.
If you happen to be in O'Fallon, Illinois around VFW Post 805,
you stop by and get a beer and get one on Bob Schultz because he'll pay for one.
Maybe, on most days. But on this day, everyone else is buying Bob a beer.
Happy birthday to you!
Because it's Bob's birthday. Well, his party anyway. His actual birthday was
April 1st, 1922.
No foolin', that makes Bob 104 years old.
It's best to have a wife like mine is, because she takes such good care of me. I don't dare die.
He took my breath away. He was so good looking.
That's his wife, Shirley. They got married when she was 40 and he was 65.
We used to laugh and say that when you're 100, I'll be 75. And then we'd laugh like loons because that ain't never going to happen. Well, guess what?
That's a great story. Bob's got a story, too. You see, Bob is a World War II veteran, a seagoing Marine aboard the USS California in the South Pacific.
We had a lot of action. A lot of kamikaze planes tried to hit our ship, and either they fell down or we shot them down.
Here at his big soiree, he sat swapping stories and suds with other veterans. His face on cupcakes, cocktail napkins, and koozies. And in the corner, a tribute.
Instead of making a new one, I just cross it off and keep adding new ones.
The centerpiece, a folded flag and a certificate. You see, Bob had never taken an honor flight.
I kept putting it off and putting it off. Finally, the stars all came together. And my birthday was on the 1st, and the flight was on the 1st.
And so last week, on April 1st, the day he turned 104, Bob took his honor flight to Washington, D.C.
It was wonderful. I loved it.
With his wife, Shirley, where he was given a flag that was flown above the Iwo Jima Monument that very morning.
And I started crying because it was so special.
The whole week has been great. There's a trip, now this. And so I couldn't ask for anything else.
So a Korea vet and 2 World War II vets sitting at the same table with Bob. I asked him, are these guys younger than you? He looked at me and he said, kid, everybody in this room's younger than me. That makes sense. So I asked him, how do I get to be 104?
Don't die.
Words to live by. Steve Harris, First Alert 4.
Great educators can make a life-changing difference for our children's futures in our schools. But sometimes it takes a little work outside the classroom. One St. Louis County principal is keeping things on the move to make sure that each and every one of her students rolls through the day with a smile. First Alert 4's Justin Andrews has her story.
Shortly after the school bell rings,
Lacing them up.
there's some lacing up for a lesson inside Dr. Stacy Carlock's office.
You don't need your shoes for now.
For these little learners, Elle and Ryan,
They want to stay.
some mornings at Ladue Early Childhood Center roll a little differently.
Front to back is gliding.
They have skate breaks, and it's safe to say these two are still finding their rhythm on wheels, but their principal's got it.
Skate down to the gym, okay?
Okay.
She doesn't just lead from her office. Dr. Stacy Carlock leads on wheels. Miss Stacy, as her preschoolers call her, has been in the Ladue School District for more than a decade and here at the Early Childhood Center for roughly 5 years. Learning looks like play here. In fact, it's actually part of the curriculum.
We set the foundation here. So we start here, we get them ready for kindergarten, because when students come in, they want to learn through the things that they love.
Her love for early childhood runs deep, and so does her creativity for all 327 of these little learners. Skating the Halls started as a Halloween costume idea back in 2021 after one of the staff members invited Carlock to join them for a skating outing. But it wasn't until recently, though, Dr. Carlock went viral. She's now known as the Edu-Skater after school staff encouraged her to share videos on Instagram highlighting how she and the staff are helping their 2 to 5-year-olds glide their way into growth and learning.
Never imagined that it would get this much attention. I'm just thinking I'm doing what I normally do here at work.
You know, skating, that's joy. If you see it, you're forced to start smiling, and it opens your heart up.
Student and Community Services Assistant Superintendent Dr. Derek Wallace says they've incorporated roller skating into the school day. Teachers here are assigned to be morning walkers, making sure the kids get safely from their parents' cars to the classroom. Carlock is a roller. She skates the kids to their classrooms about 3 to 4 days a week.
Good job, you're doing it.
She's always positive, and it magnifies through the teachers, through the staff.
Emily Keneally says her 2 children have thrived thanks to the culture and environment, allowing the staff to tailor education to each child's needs.
All right, good job, buddy.
The whole staff here have turned hallways into classrooms.
Let your feet roll, yeah.
Showing that education can roll into the hearts of Elle, Ryan, and every child, creating a rink where discovery and learning glide together. In Creve Coeur, Justin Andrews, First Alert 4.
It all started as a quick trip to an antique store earlier this year, but in the end, it uncovered decades of old memories for one family. First Alert 4's Haley Kirby has more on how a hidden compartment in an old piece of furniture is bringing history back to life.
Furniture isn't the only thing you find in antique stores. To think a customer coming in, looking at this piece right here, finding a secret compartment with a century-old story inside.
On a quiet Sunday in St. Louis at the White Rabbit Antique Shop, an unsuspecting customer uncovered a piece of history within a piece of furniture.
She said, you might not have known this is in here, but there are these secret kind of compartments in here. It had documents and pictures from 1917 about a car crash that happened in New York on the Hudson River.
Andrea Goris was working that day and, amazed by the story, took to social media to find the owner.
Didn't expect so many people to catch on to it and be so excited about it.
Through the power of the masses, the owner, Bob Klebe, was found.
I jumped at the chance. I messaged my son back and said, let him know I'm on my way. Only to find that this is my mom's desk that had been in our home in Manchester.
Mr. Klebe and his wife recently moved into a retirement home, unable to take everything with them, including his mother's secretary desk.
We were surprised because somebody had found a little envelope in this desk that was stuck in one of these secret compartments, which we didn't even know existed. And so in the envelope were pictures of this accident that occurred with my mom and her father and brother in 1917.
With a twinkle in his eye, Mr. Klebe recalled every detail of the story his mother told him for years. The story of her unbelievable survival.
They were driving from Yonkers, New York to Nyack, where the Hudson River is about 3 miles wide. And right now, the thruway, New York State Thruway, has a bridge across from Tarrytown to Nyack. But at that point in time, there was no bridge. If we wanted to go to Nyack, we took a ferry.
But in the bitter cold winter of 1917, a remarkably rare phenomenon led the Hudson River to freeze over for a staggering 43 days. An ice bridge was created, allowing people to walk, play, and drive across the frozen water. People like Bob Klebe's mother, whose fate was almost sealed one winter day.
She was 12 years old at that point in time. The car started to go through the ice.
In the nick of time, passerbys families came to the rescue.
Hockey players came and saved my mother by wrapping one of their hockey sticks around her scarf and pulled her out of the Hudson River. The whole story is just unbelievable all the way around. That they would, number one, that they were playing hockey on the Hudson River. Yeah. The Hudson River was frozen over, and that she was saved.
For decades, Mr. Kleeb's mother told the story.
The whole family knew the story, but we hadn't seen the pictures of the car going through the ice.
Now those photos finally coming to light.
She would love it. She loved to tell the stories, and nobody ever believed this story if she didn't have the visual proof of what happened.
That antique and the people who worked to reconnect Mr. Kleeb with his mother's hidden photos and clippings provided a sense of pride like no other.
The desk is just a living embodiment of, what she went through in her lifetime.
It's a century-old story connecting New York to St. Louis that people can now believe with their own eyes.
I'm just so appreciative of the life that I've been given and the opportunity to tell the story, because I think it's a great story. But a lot of people would say, no way.
In Kirkwood, Haley Kirby, First Alert 4.
We have much more to come as we celebrate the history that's been created right here in St. Louis. And still ahead, we visit two places that helps tell the story of not only our city, but the entire nation.
You're watching America 250, Celebrating the People, presented by Weber Automotive Group. You're watching America 250, Celebrating the People, presented by Weber Automotive Group.
And welcome back, everyone, as we celebrate America's 250th birthday. Hey, it's not just the people, but it's also the places that played such an important role in our nation's history. First Alert 4, Steve Harris takes us to the old courthouse in downtown St. Louis, a building full of history, and now it's getting kept alive after all these years.
You see it in almost every picture of the St. Louis skyline. There's the arch, and right in the center, the old courthouse.
There's been a courthouse on this site since 1828.
When the courts moved to a different building in 1930, it sat empty for 10 years, until the Park Service took it over, making it part of the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial.
It was a lucky save for the community and for the country, I think, that this was able to be incorporated into the national park and be preserved here as a site for everyone to come and visit.
There's so much to see and learn inside the old courthouse, from modern exhibits.
We are featuring the logos of local businesses that feature the arch in their logos.
To a look back at the courtrooms of early America, the interactive, to little-known fun facts.
They put in the turtle as a little nod to a caretaker of the building who used to keep pet turtles in the fountain out here.
So this room is our See You in Court gallery.
Park Ranger Malia Hart gave me a tour, a history lesson. From the architecture,
we are stepping into the 1862 rotunda here, and if you take a look up, you can see just how impressive it is.
To the famous cases tried here.
She kind of kick-started the women's suffrage movement in 1872.
And perhaps the most famous case.
This exhibit is all about Dred and Harriet Scott.
The enslaved African-American couple who unsuccessfully sued for the freedom of themselves and their two daughters. Now this very room is where Dred and Harriet Scott returned after the Supreme Court denied their citizenship, but it's also the room where they were freed.
Such a powerful moment happened here that kind of brought an end to this court case.
Now the old courthouse sits along Dred Scott Way, and a statue of the couple stands out front, facing Illinois.
Which right across the river, when they were alive, that would have been the way to go to get to freedom in Illinois. And so they are looking longingly toward the river.
These are the stories that make the old courthouse an important part of our country's history.
The stories of people who fought for their freedom, people who believed in things and fought for their rights.
Steve Harris, First Alert 4.
About 15 minutes south of the old courthouse in downtown St. Louis sits the oldest military installation west of the Mississippi. First Alert 4's Haley Kirby takes us to Jefferson Barracks, which is also celebrating a historic anniversary this year.
It's not an active base, but we still tell the military story.
Established in 1826, Jefferson Barracks was the nation's first school of infantry.
They have fought in every single war, from the Black Hawk War, which is the 1830s, all the way up to the end of World War II in 1946, when the base was decommissioned.
Centrally located at the base of two rivers, it became a pillar of the Manifest Destiny.
When you have everyone located literally in the middle of the nation, it's easy to push west.
Today, Jefferson Barracks Park is 450 acres of county land. Back then, it was 1,700 acres of military barracks, tent cities, hospital grounds, and most notably, it played a leading role in the Civil War in Missouri.
The major generals in the Civil War, they all came through Jefferson Barracks. So think of Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis.
200 years later, a resting place for thousands of servicemen and women.
It shows kind of the progression of Jefferson Barracks.
Several trails, museums, and monuments.
But then in the very middle, you have a neighborhood. So you have people still living within Jefferson Barracks Park, experiencing all this history.
Jeffrey Edison, a museum educator at Jefferson Barracks, calls it living history. He's working to keep the story of this land alive.
We try and preserve the historic buildings. We have one of our oldest structures in 1851. And so trying to make sure that those buildings are here for another 200 plus years, that's my main focus, is make sure that we tell the history and the narrative, but also preserving so people, when I'm no longer here, can actually see what's going on.
The land represents a gateway to the West.
Just a community pillar, but it's also that historical piece too, where it was a movement west, and the barracks were pinnacle in that trek westward.
At Jefferson Barracks, Haley Kirby, First Alert 4.
There's still so much more ahead here on America 250, celebrating the people. And still to come, we have the story of a Metro East 8th grader who, despite her age, is making a big difference in the community.
You're watching America 250, celebrating the people, presented by Weber Automotive Group. You're watching America 250, celebrating the people, presented by Weber Automotive Group.
Welcome back, everyone, to America 250, celebrating the people. A Metro East 8th grader saw a need in her community, and she knew she wanted to make a difference. Steve Harris shows us why it's never too early to make a real difference.
Inside Lincoln Middle School in Edwardsville, at the end of this hallway, there sits a closet peppered with positive Post-its. And every day, 8th grader Priya Link stops by that closet to see what's inside. You see, the closet has her name on it, but the contents aren't hers.
Priya's Care Closet is a storage closet that has personal hygiene products and everyday necessities that children might not have at home.
The idea came to her while she was fundraising for an organization that helps families in need.
She truly cares about everyone else before she cares about herself.
Her principal, Michael Corey, loved her idea.
We have students here in our building that, don't have all the resources at home that they could need.
I started going through my everyday life. What do I use every single day? And all that stuff that I use, I put on that wish list.
She made an Amazon wish list of all the things that kids might need, asking the community to help her fill the closet. Well, by the next morning, everything had been bought.
That was my wow moment, where I was people are willing to help me with my big project.
Now students can get what they need discreetly.
It's nice to have it in a space where students can access it without having to, make it known that they need those resources.
And with the help of donations, Priya keeps this closet filled.
That's my end goal in life, is to help people.
At just 14, she's got a lot of helping people ahead of her. Steve Harris, First Alert 4.
One moment in time, just a split second, can create a lasting memory of a lifetime. Sports on 4's Jacob Susasimo introduces us to a local high schooler who did not miss his shot.
Ethan Hornback is no stranger to making long shots.
So actually, I did make, first try, one-handed full court.
Taking after some of his favorite players.
Wembanyama,
LeBron and Curry.
Some of the stars that he watches with LeBron, Steph Curry, and some of these others that do it all the time, hence why he enjoys taking some of the longer shots.
He doesn't just make long shots, he practices them, making them easier to sink during his Special Olympics games. But there's nothing quite like towing the half-court line in front of the entire school.
I was nervous, my legs were shaking.
And just like he's done so many times before, Ethan made the half-court shot last week at a school pep rally.
It just felt legendary.
I'm not going to lie that I had tears of joy. It's just the excitement of seeing your child take away making a shot or whatever it may be in an assembly in front of your peers, but also just the acceptance and the inclusion that the other students showed and the enthusiasm of chanting his name and just knowing how exciting that is for a parent with special needs, that they're being included by the community and the students.
These stories are just a small sample size that showcases the people and the places that make this 250-year-old country unique. For the entire First Alert 4 team, I'm Maurice Drummond. Thanks for joining us, everyone, for America 250, celebrating the people. Have a great summer, everyone.
This has been America 250, celebrating the people, presented by Weber Automotive Group.